Countless shipwrecks washed up on the banks of the Bekgong River, shrouded in morning mist. The Wakoku Navy suffered a devastating defeat at the hands of the combined forces of Tang and Silla. The ships once carrying proud warriors are now nothing but shattered pieces of wood tossed about by the waves. One of the generals who had returned from the battlefield was writing up a report with trembling hands.
The defeat of our army is extremely regrettable, and many brave warriors have fallen. The enemy's forces are so numerous they seem to cover the heavens.
Far away in Asuka, the capital of Wakoku, Prince Nakano-o, later Emperor Tenchi, had a look of anguish on his face. Nakatomi Kamatari, a close aide, respectfully advised him.
Your Highness, the report has arrived. Our defeat seems to be more serious than we imagined.
Prince Nakano-o sighed deeply and said,
Ah. Our nation's proud navy has ended up in this way. Kamatari, what should we do now?
Your Highness, we must prepare our defenses immediately. To prepare for invasions by the Tang and Silla dynasties. I propose that we station defenders on Tsushima, Iki, and Tsukushi, and build mountain castles in Kyushu.
That's right, Kamatari. Take action now. But that's not all. Isn't it necessary to fundamentally re-examine our country's domestic politics as well?
As expected of Your Highness. I was thinking exactly that too. Should we take advantage of this opportunity to move forward with centralization?
Prince Nakano-o stood up and looked out the window.
Okay, let's create a new era. We must make our country a stronger and more unified nation.
From that day on, Wakoku began to change rapidly. Defenders were stationed in Tsushima, Iki, and Tsukushi, and mountain castles such as Ono Castle and Kii Castle were built one after another. This caused tension in the capital and anxiety to spread among the people. Prince Nakano-o ascended to the throne and became Emperor Tenchi. One day, Emperor Tenchi gathered his aides and declared,
My friends, our country is currently facing a great crisis. But we will overcome this crisis and build an even stronger nation. To that end, we will implement new policies.
The emperor turned his attention to Kamatari.
Kamatari, first we need to organize the family registry. I order the compilation of the Gangwu Year Register.
I got it. This will make taxation and conscription more efficient.
Next, the emperor summoned the Minister of Construction.
Plan to move the capital to Otsu. More centralized governance. To do that, we need a new capital.
The ministers gave enthusiastic applause. However, there was one person among them who had a complicated expression on his face. That was Emperor Tenchi's younger brother, Prince Oama. The Minister of Ceremonies, Tokuda Kasei, approached Prince Oama.
Your Highness, what do you think of His Majesty's new policy?
Prince Oama chose his words carefully.
I can understand your brother's thoughts. However, if things continue like this, Wakoku's traditions will be lost. Can we so easily discard what we have inherited from our ancestors?
I think so too. But for now, we have no choice but to follow His Majesty's will.
That's right. But maybe one day I'll be able to make my idea a reality.
As time passed and Emperor Tenchi's reign continued, Wakoku underwent a great transformation. In 664, the Kogo Nenshu was compiled, and in 668, the capital was moved to Otsu Palace in Omi. Centralization was progressing rapidly and the old clan system was crumbling. One day, Emperor Tenchi summoned Prince Oama.
Brother, I know what you're thinking. But this reform is necessary. For the future of our country.
Prince Oama answered quietly.
Brother, I am also acting for the good of my country. However, I think that such a sudden change will make the people uneasy.
I understand your caution. But time waits for no one. We have to move forward with a vision.
Prince Oama nodded silently, but his eyes held mixed feelings. Meanwhile, new developments were happening at the imperial court. Soga no Akai was having a secret meeting with one of his aides.
If things continue like this, the power of the old clans will be completely lost. Shouldn't we also do something?
Aka Ni answered carefully.
That is certainly true. But it's too early to tell now. Let's wait and see. And when the opportunity arises.
Then in 671, Emperor Tenchi became seriously ill. The imperial court was in turmoil, and the issue of succession was being discussed behind closed doors. Prince Otomo, son of Emperor Tenchi, knelt at his father's bedside.
Father, how are you feeling?
Emperor Tenchi opened his eyes slightly and began to speak in a husky voice.
Otomo, I entrust the throne to you. This country. For the better.
Father, do you think I can handle such an important role?
Emperor Tenchi smiled gently.
You'll be fine. But there is one word of advice. Beware of the Wamano. He may also have ambitions for the throne.
Prince Otomo's expression darkened when he heard those words. At that moment, Fujiwara no Fuhito quietly entered the room.
Your Majesty, an envoy from Prince Oama has arrived.
I don't see. I entrust everything to Otomo.
How should I tell my uncle?
Fuhito answered carefully.
We will respect His Majesty's wishes and inform Prince Oama that we will contact him again at a later date.
At that time, the imperial succession was prioritized between siblings rather than parents and children. However, Emperor Tenchi, out of personal affection, took the incredible step of passing the throne to Prince Otomo. Prince Oama woke up from his meditation. His aide, Soga no Akane, quietly called out to him.
Your Highness, a messenger has arrived from the capital.
Prince Oama frowned.
What did he say?
Prince Otomo has succeeded to the throne by the will of Emperor Tenchi.
I see. My brother. And Otomo.
Aka Ni continued, gazing at the prince's reaction.
Prince, what will you do now?
Prince Oama answered, gazing out the window.
Okay, perhaps our time has come. But we must proceed with caution.
But, Prince, now I am on the Buddhist path.
Akai said worriedly. Prince Oama spoke quietly but firmly.
It's time to stand up for this country. Let's start preparing.
Emperor Otomo, who succeeded Emperor Tenchi, was busy with government affairs. His aide, Otomo Fukiage, came rushing in.
Your Majesty, some powerful clans in the eastern provinces are making some disturbing moves.
Emperor Otomo said in annoyance.
Again? What exactly happened? Oh, we have information that they are trying to make contact with Prince Oama.
Emperor Otomo sighed deeply.
Why is it so difficult to carry out my father's wishes?
Prince Otomo was desperate to realize the reform ambitions he inherited from his father. But the dissatisfaction of those around him was growing day by day. At that moment, Nukata no Okimi quietly entered the room. Emperor Otomo had his eye on her.
Nukata, what do you think about this situation?
Nukata no Okimi hesitated for a moment, then quietly began to recite a poem. Nukata no Okimi hesitated for a moment, then quietly began to recite a poem.
Even if I hide from you in the Mizugaki Mountains, I will never forget you.
Emperor Otomo gazed upon Princess Nukata as if searching for the meaning of the song.
Who does your heart belong to?
Your Majesty, my heart is always with my country. But sometimes the heart wavers. Isn't that just human nature?
Emperor Otomo pondered the words deeply. Finally, Prince Oama left Yoshino and raised an army in the eastern provinces. This was the beginning of the great incident that would later be called the Jinshin Rebellion. As Prince Oama's army headed east, Prince Otomo was frantically discussing how to respond in the capital.
Why would you do something like this, Uncle? Your Highness, we must immediately dispatch troops and put down the rebellion. But that would mean shedding blood between fellow tribesmen. Is there no other way?
Then, Soga no Akane quietly spoke.
Your Highness, sometimes bloodshed is necessary for the stability of the country.
Prince Otomo stared at Akai.
Akai, whose side are you on?
Of course, I'm on your Highness' side.
But his eyes seemed to be saying something else. Meanwhile, in the eastern provinces, Prince Oama's army was steadily gathering troops and building up its strength. One night, Prince Oama gathered his officials and spoke to them.
My friends, our battle is not just a battle for the throne. This is the battle that will decide the future of Weikoku. We must destroy the old system and create a new nation.
Your Highness, what kind of country do you intend to create upon victory? Prince Oama answered, gazing into the distance.
A fairer country that listens to its people. But at the same time, It is a powerful country that is not threatened by external enemies. That is the ideal image of the nation I envision.
Everyone nodded in admiration. Prince Oama's words had the power to move people's hearts. When Prince Oama and his party arrived in Mino, they were greeted by many powerful clansmen from the eastern provinces. Among them was Prince Takaichi. Prince Oama loudly proclaimed,
My friends, let us create a new world together. Let's make this country stronger and fairer.
Cheers went up from the nobles.
Prince Takechi stepped forward. Uncle, I will follow this wish. Let's fight together,
he declared forcefully. Emperor Otomo received news of Prince Oama's uprising. Your Majesty, we're in trouble, Prince Oama. Emperor Otomo was momentarily at a loss for words when he heard the voice of his vassal rushing in a panic.
No way. My uncle.
Fujiwara no Fuhito calmly advised.
Your Majesty, we must take immediate action. That's right. Gather the troops immediately. We have the strength to fight.
Fuhito nodded quietly.
Please leave the defense of Omi to me. I guarantee you will definitely win. I'm counting on you, Fuhito. The time has come to prove our legitimacy.
The two armies face off. Emperor Otomo himself led the charge.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us prove that we are legitimate. We who carry on our fathers are sure to be victorious.
Prince Takaichi, who was in charge of Prince Oama's army, reported. Uncle, the enemy outnumbers us.
The number is not an issue. We have a cause. Takaichi, you will lead the right wing.
And a fierce battle began. Otomo Fukiage was struggling. This is bad, if this keeps up. Meanwhile, Prince Oama's army, Otomo no Magata, was steadily expanding the front lines.
Everyone, advance. Victory is at hand.
The battle tide gradually turned in favor of Prince Oama's forces. The situation around Emperor Otomo was getting worse by the minute. Your Majesty, we have no choice but to retreat. Emperor Otomo gritted his teeth in desperation at the desperate advice of his retainers.
Not yet, I can still fight. But that voice no longer had any power.
It's time to make the final decision. Emperor Otomo opened up with a heavy heart.
Understood. Retreat to Omi Palace. So we'll regroup.
Emperor Otomo arriving at Omi Palace. Only a few aides remained around. Emperor Otomo quietly drew his sword.
Is this the end?
One of the aides shouted.
Your Majesty, something like that.
Emperor Otomo smiled sadly.
Father, I'm sorry. I couldn't protect my country.
Then he quietly cut open his own abdomen. Thus ended his reign of just a few months. Prince Oama had just completed his enthronement ceremony.
I will ascend to the throne as Emperor Tenmu. We will create a new world.
Prince Takaichi approached. Congratulations to His Majesty the Emperor. What are your plans going forward? Emperor Tenmu answered with deep determination.
Takaichi, we are going to carry out major reforms. First of all, we must improve the law and create a fair world.
Soga no Akai also joined.
Your Majesty, how do you deal with the powerful families of the eastern provinces?
Emperor Tenmu answered cautiously.
Let's give them credit. However, we must not forget to strengthen centralization. It's all about balance.
And Emperor Tenmu quietly added.
And let's not forget Otomo. He too wanted to serve his country.
Thus began the reign of Emperor Tenmu. This is where the new image of Japan will take shape.